I hope you're doing good. So just got a for clarity session with a client, and I shared with him some stuff that I wanted to share with more of you guys out there, right? So this client is more of a beginner, right? He has only bought a course before he started working with us, which is pretty insane. Shout out to him to having had the courage to invest the kind of capital we have to invest to work and get our services. But what I told him, right, on our clarity session is I told him to not expect to be making 50K a month in 3 to 6 months, right? And the reason why I told him that is because a lot of people online, and I may also be the part of those people online, where you're promised this future, like, hey, if you buy this, then you're gonna start making 10K, 20K, 50K, 100K a month, right? But I want to make this clear, okay? And this is probably why I'm actually trying to stop like onboarding people who are like newbies or beginners in this space, in this entrepreneurship journey. Because as a beginner, you have to understand, and this is what I told him, right? I told him that even if I was to give you the client acquisition infrastructure that I'm using to book 300 sales calls a month, my closing team, right? My onboarding team, my onboarding systems, the fulfillment, the checklist, everything that we have, right? To be able to sustain a multiple seven-figure business, you would not be generating multiple seven figures of business, multiple seven figures a year, right? Because you are not yet deserving of that kind of level of throughput, of revenue, of success, right? Because a lot of people don't understand that, like, just because you have the right infrastructure, you're not necessarily automatically going to be creating you're not going to be tapping into the potential of that system, right? Because in order for you to tap into I think we've probably seen these movies where you're not allowed to like use a tool or a weapon until you reach a certain level, right? I think that in business is the same thing. We all know that we need setters. We all know that we need content. We all know that we probably may need ads. We all know that we need to build an audience. We all know that we need all these things, right? But it's only when you get to a certain level that you're really able to dial everything in and dial everything together, right? But the thing is, in order for you to get to that level, it takes fucking time, right? Client acquisition.io is not we're not magicians. Like, we're not gonna just we're just not gonna make time condense and just happen in a shorter, condense it into a shorter period of time, right? You need time under tension. Just like when you would go to the gym and ask me, hey Serge, like, or ask like, I don't know, like some bodybuilder, you go to Steve Cook or you go to Christian Guzman, or you go and ask these bodybuilders and you're like, hey, how long did it take you to build such a big bicep, right? And they're like, oh, I did 10,000 reps. And then in your mind, you're like, oh, okay, perfect. I'll go to do 10,000 reps this month. And cool, perfect. You go on to the gym every day, you do, I don't know how many reps you would need to do every day. You probably need to do around like maybe 500 reps a day, right? 300 to 500 reps a day on biceps, right? Which is technically pretty doable, right? And then at the end of the month, you're like, oh my God, I don't have, you know, as big of a bicep as Steve Cook, right? And then you're like, oh, but I failed. Well, it's not that you failed. It's just that you didn't give it time, right? The time that is actually required, because maybe he did 10,000 reps, but maybe he did it, or I mean 10,000 reps is not really a lot, but maybe he did 100,000 reps over the span of 5 years, and that's why he's grown such a a bigger body muscle, right? So it works the same thing in business, guys. You have to be deserving to the yield that you're trying to achieve, right? It's not like I can build you the best things ever, but if you're not the person who deserves to tap into the potential of the system, you're not going to be getting the best ROI from the thing, right? Now, does it mean that beginners are never going to be able to tap into the potential? No. It's just that you guys have to understand that it's going to take time for you to become the person who can get the best yield out of the system, okay? So when you guys hear me talk about our system creates 50K a month in 3 to 6 months, I'm not talking to the person who has zero experience, okay? It took me a year and a half to find the right offer, guys. It took me a year and a half to even figure out a way to make 5K a month, right? So if you're the me who couldn't figure out how to even make 2 grand a month, please do not think that you're going to jump into the program and then you're just going to become someone who makes $50,000 profit every month. That's literally nuts, right? It's not nuts. We've had people who've done it, but those are just, you know, special, you know, situations that, you know, might happen. It's a probability, right? But if you're a beginner, please understand that, like, hey, if you want to work with us, we're probably not necessarily onboarding that many beginners anymore, because we try to actually avoid this thing, because the expectations is that people think that, oh, I'm just going to jump in, pay, and then start making a whole bunch of money 3 to 6 months from now. But it does not work like that. Now, if you come to me and you're already making 20K a month, bro, we'll get you 50K a month the next month, right? But because you already have the understanding, all you need is just more fire or more fuel to the fire. And that we can do, right? But as a beginner, please understand that, like, you need to, it's just like a game, right? You have to, the longer you stay in the game, the more, the level, the better you get, the more depth you get within the thing. And then the more depth, the more you're able to pull out of the system, right? So the me who was making 30K a month was only able to pull 30K a month from the system. The me in July who did 200 grand was able to pull $210,000 out of the system, right? So it's like, I just got better at extracting more, at generating more value for more people, but, and then in return, I get to pull out more capital out of the system, right? So when you sign up in these programs, in these courses, and even services, understand, like, it's not a given. It's not just like, oh, you do this and then this happens by magic. No, it doesn't happen, right? So as a beginner, please have different expectations, okay? But, you know, the thing is, it's not like there's any other better option out there for you. It's not like you're just gonna be like, oh, if I can start making 50K a month in 6 months, then I'm gonna give up and then go settle for a $3,000 a month job. No, that's stupid, because you could generally sacrifice the next year building a company, and at the end of the year start making 30K, 50K a month. And let's say the 10 month out of the 12 months you didn't make a single penny, it would still be worth it, because in just a month you're going to start making as much as that person does in a year in a single month, maybe every 2 weeks, right? So it's like the, you know, time invested versus the ROI is still pretty much you know, worth it. So that's just something I wanted to put out there. I think a lot of people who are starting out have the wrong expectations, and maybe this video is just to help you out, understand that, like, hey, you gotta deserve the success. It's not because you paid me or you paid some other guy or you went through this program. Or I know people who've spent more money in programs who are not making the same amount of money that I am. I know people who spent less than me who are making more money than I am, right? But I can tell you this, anyone who's making more money has spent more time in the game than I have, has spent more time refining, has spent more time looking for better answers, have spent time thinking about how to be better, right? So if you're a beginner, figure out a way to get the right systems, right? Because finding systems and building them yourself is also going to take you a bunch of time. That you can cut out. You can cut out the time to find the truth, right? Find the truth, and then the other part of the equation is finding and becoming the character that you need to become to be able to extract the most amount of value from the marketplace, right? It's really these two things. You can buy the systems, you can buy the truth, but to become the person, this takes time. In my shoes right now, I think I know how to make $1 million a month. Generally, I could generally, like, sit down for the remaining 10 hours or 8 hours I have left in the day. I could build a game plan to making $1 million a month next month. But guess what? It's not going to take me 8 hours to just become someone who makes $1 million a month, right? Because there is time under tension, and there is time that have to be spent refining how I think, how I make decisions, learning from others, you know, different insights, and it might also take time to actually build the infrastructure itself, right? The marketing messages, the assets, the sales arguments, figuring out, hey, what is the offer? What is the pricing? What is all these things, and putting them together, right? So that's all I have to share today. Hopefully this was helpful. Stop being in a rush. things take time. I want to be in a rush. I would love to be making $1 million a day, but I'm not going to be doing it, right? I think Grant Cardone is doing 500K a day, and he's like 64 years old, right? But it's like, you know how long it took him to be able to get to that stage, right? It took him a lot of time, right? So maybe it's not going to take me another 40 years to get there. Hopefully it's going to maybe take me a decade, but I'm cool with a decade, right? I have time. We all have time, guys. Stop being in a rush and come work with us. Bye-bye. Hey, thank you for watching my video. One thing that I want to ask you is please like, comment, subscribe, and share it with the people in your circle, people who can find this content helpful. And before you actually leave, I have a 5 days to 50K a month program with the right offers, the right mindset, decision-making, training, everything you need when it comes to scaling an agency, high-ticket coaching or consulting business past 50K per month, from the client acquisition systems to how to actually scale and sustain scale. If you want to access it, click the link below. Yeah, find it helpful.